Shalom, shalom. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you brothers that's pushing the work, all right, with all sincerity and truth, bringing forth the testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shai in these last evil days. Shalom to you, all right. Just wanted to draw your attention to something. I'm sure brothers have been caught on to it, you know. What I would like to do just to show you, that the Lord, man, his words remain, unmatched. All right, as the scriptures say here, I want to start in Isaiah 34 and 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Lord Yahweh and read. No one of these shall fail." All right, what is it talking about? No one of these shall fail. It's talking about the prophecies. Okay, none shall want her mate. Okay, meaning no one is going to be able to equal up to this this word here. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. You see, all right. The Lord, what he's sent forth his commandment, and he's gathered the prophets. The prophets have uh, have taken note, for lack of better words, and these things were written down in a book. All right, for us today, so that we may be comforted by way of the scriptures, and the Lord is for sure bringing about his will, okay. And here I want to get another precept. All right, so let's get this Psalms 139 and 7. It says here, "Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? Right? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me." Let me see. "Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee." All right, let me see. Yeah, it wasn't the precept that I wanted, but I'm looking for a precept that's dealing with how the Lord's Spirit pretty much is in all the earth. Let's see if I can find it. All right, and there ain't no escaping him. Okay, because what's happening is the Lord is the one that's he's the one that's has authorship, and he's the one that has full authority. Okay, here, and it's a term called pantheon. Okay, let's see here, pantheon. Okay, all right. We'll wait. While we're waiting for that to load, we'll get Psalms. Let's see what Psalms 24 and 1 says here. Here we go. Psalms 24 and 1, it says, "The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein." Right? Okay. Right. It's the Lord's. It's inescapable. All right. And I guess we can use that Psalms 139 and 7 to just, make that point. All right. It's inescapable. And that's what you see so far is what the Lord is doing, as he's, bringing um, this age to an end. All right. And the Lord said he had determined, it was a determination. All right. Here, Job 14:5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bound that he cannot pass. Right. So this devil is moving in such a way that he thinks he has autonomy. He's moving. All right. With this prowess, this arrogant pride. What he doesn't understand is that you're being used. All right, you being used. Okay. And the scriptures say what, Ezekiel 28. All right. Where it says that he is the anointed cherub. There we go. Ezekiel 28:14. All right. Thou art the anointed cherub that covered. All right. And the Lord was talking to the nations, basically. The king of Tyre, he had that same type of pride. And the Lord promised that he was going to use another nation to overtake them. You see, and that's constant throughout the scriptures. The Lord, does that on occasion. Okay. All right. But you can use this for the wicked, because this definitely mirrors what Esau, the type of pride that Esau has. Okay. So back in Ezekiel 28:14, thou art the anointed cherub. All right. Anointed, another word for anointed is to be chosen. Okay. And a cherub is almost likened unto an angel, Slaki, an angel. Okay. Here it says Karawab, which it says what, cherub, an angelic being. Okay. And we know another word for angel is what? A messenger. You see, and the Lord is using Esau for his purpose. Okay, so in other words, when you read in Job 14:5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months is with thee. Thou was appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Salaki. Ezekiel 28. All right, and 14, thou art the anointed cherub. Okay, that covereth. All right, so he's a chosen messenger, right? That covereth. What is the word here for covereth? All right. Hebrew is sakak, right? To hedge, fence about, shut in, to block, overshadow, screen, stop the approach, shut off, cover. And that's what Esau is pretty much doing to the nations. He's cutting off nations, in hopes of bringing, his new world, enterprise. Okay. So he's being used for that purpose. All right. Okay. To screen, cover, to weave together. Right. So he's being used, for that purpose. All right. So like if y'all hear any background noise. All right. And the scripture continues to say, it says, I have set thee so thou was upon the holy mountain of God. Right. And they are now. Okay. Ezekiel 36:6. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. All right. And that's essentially what Esau is doing now. Okay. And he's being used now. We're going back to Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bound that he cannot pass. Right. So there's this age is not going to go beyond the allotted time. Okay. Esau's age, his kingdom is not going to go past the threshold. All right. So here, verse 6, it says, turn from him that he may rest till he shall accomplish as an hireling his day. So he's being hired essentially for a job. Okay. And that job is what? To take peace from the earth. Because this dude Trump, man. Mr. Nero. All right. Okay. He's, a perfect example of, what an Edomite truly is. And they think they have autonomy. They think they have sovereignty, but you're just being used. I forgot what point I wanted to make. It just left me that fast. Oh, to take peace from the earth. Okay. You're being used to take peace from the earth, and the ploy is, the lie is that they stopping wars, and but you're creating division, and you're creating uneasy, all right, doubtful relationships between you and your partners, allies, right? Those that's supposed to be confederate, all right. So Revelation 6:4, and there went out another horse that was red. That's Esau, Edom, right? The horse represents their power, all right, their swiftness, all right. That was red. When you go back to the name of Edom, it goes back to red, out of one, which means red, right? And power was given. You see, remember we just read this. He's as an hireling, all right, till he accomplished as an hireling his day, all right. And then Ezekiel 28, anointed cherub, he's the anointed cherub that covereth. Okay. So in here, Revelation 6:4, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. All right. And these are just, uh, how you say, metaphors, to explain who he is. All right. Okay. So let's go to this pantheon. All right. Because it finally comes up. All right. And this just shows you a term, all right, that they use. Okay, here it says Pantheon, Pantheon in Rome. All right, Latin Pantheon, name of a temple dedicated to all the gods built in Rome. All right. Let's see here. Made into the Christian Church, Santa Maria Rotonda. Here, this just wanted to bring a point. It says here all, pan meaning all, theon or theos, of or for the gods, right? Theos meaning God, right? So, I mean, the Lord is above all right? There's no place in the world where his eye isn't. There's no place in the world where his spirit doesn't fill. I think that's the precept I wanted earlier. His spirit filleth the earth. Okay. Let's see if I can find it. I'm looking on my phone really quick. And I'm going in the spirit on this one, Slocky. So, spirit fill. Let's see here, Salakia. I'm not sure if it's, man. Oh yeah, here, Wisdom of Solomon 1:7, Salakia. Wisdom of Solomon 1:7. His spirit filleth the earth. All right. 1:7. Okay. And it says, for the spirit of the Lord filleth the world, the world, right? And that which containeth, all right, all things have knowledge of the voice. So therefore he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid, see? And that's why Esau, you expose, you're saying things that you're saying, pretty much wickedness. You're bringing forth iniquity. It's hard not to see that, especially if you're a God. If you're the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai and you're in his world, all right, and this world is governed by his law, his eternal law, right? Well, the Lord is going to see, ultimately he's going to see your ways. You see? And he's going to do things, and that's what's happening now. He's going to do things to bring about, your judgment in ways is unconventional, and only God can do that. Only the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua can do that, and he's in all things. That's why I just wanted to bring this not pantheism, but just pantheon, all God, all right, all God, because I mean, you know, the Lord, his spirit filled the world. He's in all places at all times, and just going back to the point I was making earlier that, you know, um, prophecy, and the Lord's will, all right, is being done, regardless of what confusion, regardless of what Esau's putting out there, the psychological operations, the theater, all right, the Lord has control, and we're seeing that, all right, on a whole nother level. So I want to read a few of these articles. Okay, I'm not going to be long. All right, Trump is now considering punishing countries with tariffs if they don't back the U.S. controlling Greenland. And what does this show? It shows a level of pride, okay, that really, you've never really seen a ruler in the world take on this type of pride like Esau has. He's putting the world on notice. And what is this doing? It's breaking alliances. People are starting to hate this guy. That's the Lord's doing, man. That's the Lord's doing. Okay. Revelation 6:4 again, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. All right. And that sword goes back to that Genesis 27:40. All right. By thy sword shalt thou live. Okay. And this is what Esau, this is how he thrives, but by way of that sword. When you go into that word sword, it's chara, which means a wasting, going into destruction. Okay, so it's not a literal sword, but it's representing destruction, is what representing a wasting. All right, and they were given that. Okay, so he is that red horse that's taking peace from the earth. Okay, and putting all the nations on notice. He's telling the nations what they just basically telling them what he's going to take, and they feel they have a God-given right. They don't. Of course, they don't understand that this is the more they push on the world and impose on the world and try to imperialize the world, the more it's leading to their own downfall. Okay, because you can't trick the Most High, Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay, that's impossible. That's impossible, buddy. This is Isaiah 46:9. It says, "Remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am God." All right, there is none like me. Okay, it would be a precept for this term I was looking up. Pan, which means all, theon, which comes from theos, all right, which means God. Okay, all right, just representing him. He's everywhere, right? It says, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand. Here's the marquee point. My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So the Lord has chosen these Edomites to do what they're doing. All right. And that's why they're moving with impunity. That's why they're moving in such a way. Because the Lord has given them that pride. All right. What else is he giving them? Isaiah 10. Right. And this is their mindset right here. Isaiah 10. Okay. Oh, Assyrian. All right. Another word for another slocket. I don't know why. Metaphor or simile. All right. Because the Assyrian, all right, well, who were you go into the history and they were really proud. They were really gruesome too. All right. And what the Edomites, they mirror what the Assyrians did. In fact, they do it better. Okay. They even tell you that they they want to be the best dictators ever. All right. So they take from these different societies and their tactics and all of these things and they apply it. All right. In their rule, in their rulership. So the rod of mine anger and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. You see? So at one point, the Lord was using Edom, to punish Jake, and he still is. He still is using Esau to punish Jake, and just like he used the Assyrians to punish the Israelites of old. Now, Esau is the modern day Assyrian, okay? If that makes sense. Okay. So I will send him against the hypocritical nation, that was Israel, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. Now check it out. We're gonna jump. All right. Check this out, verse 12. It says, wherefore it shall come to pass that when the Lord hath performed his whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, right? So the Lord is just using you as a hireling to punish and to do what you do in the earth according to his will. He says what? I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria and the glory of his high looks. You see? And that's gonna be you Edomites, man. Okay. But this punishment is gonna be on a level that you've never seen before. All right. There was a precept that came to mind just now. Perform the whole work upon Mount Zion and on Jerusalem will punish the fruit of the star, the king of Syria, and the glory of his high looks. There's a precept I wanted to get. Lord willing to come back. Moving on though, it says, for he said, by the strength of my hand I have done it. See, and that these Edomites believe that through their own strength they have what? Conquered the world. They have turned the world into this utopia. All right. Which, they're delusional. Guys like Matt Walsh, you know, and by my wisdom, for I am prudent, and I have removed the bounds of the people and have robbed their treasures, and I have put down the inhabitants like a valiant man. This is the mindset and spirit of Esau. Okay. So he's in that proud, spirit now. Okay. And my hand have found as a nest the riches of the people, and as one gathers eggs that are left, have I gathered all the earth, and there was none that moved the wing or opened the mouth or peeped. See, nobody has come against him. All right. Man, it was a good precept I had on mine. I forgot exactly what it was. I want to read it so bad, but yeah, man. Moving on. We'll move on. We're going to come back, Slocky. All right, so let's go back to this. All right, and you got the nations they're on notice, so they're assembling themselves. There's talks. You had an emergency meeting at Davos concerning what Trump is doing. He first thing he goes there to do is to lie about all the he's just projecting upwards as far as the the things in society, inflation, and he's saying these things are improving, and in reality is not improving for the average Joe Schmo, the average day citizen. It may be among them the elite, but definitely not for the average person. Okay. And then that's good on their behalf. They living it up, and he's become the most richest president. He owns the most Bitcoin. all right, in America. He's become the richest. You had Obama, he was making billions, all right. No, but this guy is making billions, okay? So yeah, everything is projecting, is going up, all right. US President Nero suggests Friday that he may punish countries with tariffs if they don't back the US controlling Greenland. Right. If you don't back me, if you got something bad to say about what I'm doing and my imperialism, I'm going to punish you. Right. Which brings me to this precept, which has been coming out lately, Daniel 7:20, and the 10 horns that were in his head. Okay. Which the 10 common markets representing those EU nations. All right. Which they comprise of more than just 10, you know. All right. I believe it's over 28, 29 or something like that. And of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, all right, even of that horn that had eyes, all right, and that the 3 that fell, I believe, was the Spanish, the British, and the French, okay, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, all right. And as you can see, his look is very much more stout than his fellows, all right. Let's see here, Slaki. And the Hebrew word here is Rob. Okay, great. All right, great figure of power, captain, chief. All right, chief, great, Lord, master, stout. All right, and essentially that's what they're showing. That's what they're displaying. Okay, in the world, you know, and he's speaking what great words. Right, so a message that came as a bipartisan congressional delegation sought to lower tension in the Danish capital, and they're encroaching on their own allies' land. You see, and what is that grounds for? That's potentially breaking up a relationship. That's breaking up, you know, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, Trump for months has insisted that the U.S. should control Greenland, right? And semi-autonomous semi-autonomous, territory of NATO ally Denmark, and said earlier this week that anything less than the Arctic island being in U.S. hands would be unacceptable. See, so he's definitely stout, and really, this is all about allocating trade routes. Having the best hand, all right, in the global power structure, and preventing other countries to expand. Okay, and what is that going to do? Look, the West hegemony, they've been ruling for some time, man. They've been sabotaging and coup d'etats and destabilizing countries. All right, and you got nations that's formulating their own alliance against the West, so to speak, and this is causing friction. All right, America's causing friction on a global scale, and so what? That this is causing all the nations to align themselves against this place. Okay, so again, it's just the Lord, He's using them. All right, and you can see that His word is definitely coming, all right, to pass. All right. Okay, because what? Let's see here. What's a good precept? Oh yeah, Obadiah. Obadiah 1. All right. Obadiah 1. All right, and we'll start at we'll start at 1. It says the vision of Obadiah. Thus said the Lord Yahweh power God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, right? And thou art greatly despised. Well, I believe the word here is insignificant for small, right? The Hebrew word here is quatan, quatan. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, quatan. Young, small, insignificant. There you go, unimportant, right? I mean, essentially that's what America's acting like a child, that doesn't want to, give everybody else a turn to play. And so what, they sabotage the whole game in their favor, which is going to lead these nations to rise up against them, even their allies. All right. Bold, but it's really strategically is a really dumb move. And, they just believe everybody's going to get behind them because of the military prowess. But the scriptures say, art thou become as weak as we? Isaiah 14. Okay. All right. So behold, I made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. See, greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. Right? And their habitation is high. They got the most billionaires in the world here in America. All right. So they living on high. They live in haughty. They live in, okay, in that battle, Salakia. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, and that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? See, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord Yahweh. So when he has it in his mind, and that's um, been going on for some time too. He's reached a certain pinnacle. All right, when it comes to technology. All right, when it comes to weaponry. Okay, and that's when the Lord said, you know what? I'm gonna start stripping you. All right, and he started stripping Babylon. Okay. It says, if these came to thee, if robbers by night, right? How art thou cut off? Would they have not stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Right? You got those, what they call the gleaning grapes that they leave for the poor. But what is the Lord saying here? How are the things? Well, the Lord is saying what? He's gonna cut you off completely. He's not gonna leave nothing. You see, it's not gonna be a good thing to be an Edomite in the future world, in the future to come, because you're gonna be haunted from every corner of the earth. All right, and that's gonna be really scary for them. All right, how are the things that Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? Right, of course, the Lord. He's the one that made you naked and exposed to the world, and he exposed your agenda. Right, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, because that's what's coming. Right, those that were confederate with you, right, those that were with you in alliance with you, right, they're only going to go so far until they turn against you, right? And they're going to deceive you and, and make you believe that they're on board, right? And prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. You see? So those that eat your bread, those that, you delegate with, all right? Those that you spread your, you know, it ain't democracy now. It's it's like a globalization. All right. When you spread these ideals among them, right? They don't lay a wound underneath thee. There is none understanding in him. Okay. All right. Shall I not in that day, said the Lord Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Oh, that's what I wanted. Jeremiah 48. It's 48 or no, it's 49. Okay. Jeremiah 49 and 12. For thus said the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. That went to a precept I wanted to bring out earlier. Okay. A point I wanted to bring out earlier. All right. Because the Lord is using you. All right. But eventually he's going to punish you. Okay. And with that, you're not going to go unpunished for the things that you've done. All right. Yeah, the Lord is using you, but you're not gonna go unpunished. All right. So the Lord is what this precept chapter is dealing with the Lord, setting Esau up, because of his pride, and he's gonna bring even his allies against him. Okay, and this is what we're seeing being done on a global stage. That he's becoming despised among the nations. All right, he's speaking more stout than his fellows. All right, only to his own demise. All right, that was another article. Okay, and that guy was up on the podium at the WEF, just lying his ass off. He was just saying all of these good things, but there's civil unrest in his own homeland. All right, and he's pretty much about to rule in tyranny. He's a dictator. Okay. Russia warns Trump that he would trigger the end of the world if he captures Greenland. And who knows what would come of them taking or annexing or however they want to do it, allocating Greenland to themselves. That are definitely going to spark some minds and some hearts against this against them. All right. Let's see here. Man. I had them all lined up pretty much. The articles I want to bring out. Let's see here. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, I think it's gonna come up. Slack it. Yeah. Okay. So him moving more stout. Let's see. Yeah, Canada is showing signs that it is serious about shifting away from the U.S. Okay, and that's what's happening in trade. They're gonna definitely shift away. Okay, they're just gonna do the other thing with these other nations. All right, and this is just backing up the point that their allies are even turning against them. Okay, all right, Canada is showing signs that it is serious about about shifting away from the U.S. With U.S. ties at their lowest point in modern history, Canada is turning to one of the only countries with which it had even worse relations, China. So they turn into the worst possible situation, all right, to patch up, a already bad relationship. They're rather to go, and it just shows you the desperation. Okay, that's what I want to say. Canada is forging a new strategic partnership with China, its second biggest trading partner. Prime Minister Mark Carney said Friday during what he called a historic trip to Beijing that includes a break with the United States on tariffs, which have hit both the Canadian and Chinese economics. All right, and what's happening now as far as the tariff? This is big on a biblical from a biblical perspective because the scriptures point out the reason why these nations are turning against uh, each other is because of the economic woes, all right, because of the constant sabotaging, the constant, road blocking, and obstacles, and then the pride, all right. It says which have hit both the Canadian and Chinese economy. Excuse me. Carney, the first Canadian prime minister to visit China since 2017, met President Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of the People. He is one of a series of world leaders shaken by Nero's geopolitical disruptions, who are traveling to Beijing as it seeks to exploit U.S. unpredictability to bolster its global influence. All right, for Canada, the Nero's administration has been especially head spinning. The United States used to be a friend and ally. Guy Saint Jacques, a former Canadian ambassador to China, told NBC News in an interview, "Now we are treated as an enemy." Right? There you have it. They were what they were ally at one point, but now it's like they're being treated like an enemy. So how much of this do you think the nation's going to put up with until the Lord say, you know what, that's it? Okay. Isaiah 14:9, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming, meaning destruction, the fall, or falling away. All right. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All right. So they're raising up. Okay. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? And we're going to see this live and in color. Right? Art thou become like unto us? It's going to speak even louder. This precept, this line here, verse 10. And they're going to notice that weakness. Right? Okay. Thy pomp, meaning that pride, is brought down to the grave. All right. I mean, it's going to be dead. Your pride is going to be dead. And the noise of thy bowels, and the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. Right. And they're going to see the corruption from within. And then this place is going to fall from within. And that's what we see. Okay. And so this is all on par with prophecy. Okay. None, too big as what we've been seeing all along. All right. But and you better believe the Lord has full control of it. All right. So what else? Thousands in Denmark protest Trump's demand for Greenland. So, uproars of the people. Trump warns 8 European countries will be charged a 10% tariff for opposing U.S. control of Greenland. You see? That's very stout. It's very proud. Okay. But it's a, it's a means to an end. All right. An end to, this woman that rideth that beast. So Lord willing, this was edifying. I just wanted to, touch on something in the spirit. Really didn't have a topic to go on, but it's plenty of stuff to talk about. All right. Being that prophecy is, reigning supreme in the world, and the Lord is accomplishing that which he set out to. All right. And we see it right before our eyes. And, this is a means to rejoice. This is a means to, get serious. All right. Because we headed into some more turbulent times. I know most of the time it's like, it gets annoying. And, only bad, 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 bad. But really it's actually good that's going to come from it, But Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers. that's pushing the work in truth with all sincerity. Shalom.